Hey everybody, I know it's late right now. I know everybody's probably just tired. I just been trying to take it easy. I first of all, I don't have fun doing these videos about a celebrity passing away that I grew up watching. I didn't do one for Michelle Trachtenberg, and I didn't do one for Gene Hackman. Kind of sorry, my mom or someone else. Both those guys can rest in peace. I just was hanging out watching YouTube, and also a lot. There's been a lot of fallout from the AEW Dynasty main event. To people who basically said like Hell in a Cell 2019 was the worst thing that happened to pro wrestling. Yeah, AEW just basically gave that a run for its money. At least we don't have to deal with Vince McMahon, so deal with that. But anyways, enough about pro wrestling. This week, actually on April 1st, we had to deal with something that wasn't an April Fool's joke. An actor we all grew, like us 80s kids, an actor we all grew up with who got his start in his career in the 80s and then got blew up in the 90s and then the 2000s, went cold, and then he faced for personal troubles, but then he had one last goodbye performance a few years ago, and now we lost him. So his work will speak volumes. He was just so charismatic and just such a damn good actor. And I'm talking about, of course, Val Kilmer. And on Sinister Creature Con, I've been promoting him. That's some of his best works. A lot of people have been pointing out, a lot of people basically, it's crazy because when I heard about what happened with Val, I was talking to somebody from Sinister Creature Con on their page. We were just mentioning Val Kilmer's best work, and they'd shown all these different films, mostly just Batman and Doc Holly from Tombstone. But I just remember I wrote, No Love for Jim Morrison? And she said, well, I love Jim Morrison, but come on, man. Don't forget about Nick Rivers and Batman. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? He had the best Batman theme song of all time, Kiss from a Rose. And then later on, I went on YouTube, and I think every music video, like Seal had two music videos for Kiss from a Rose, the Batman version and the version where he was with these supermodels, which meant nothing, that had absolutely nothing to do with Batman. And people were still writing Rest in Peace Val, Rest in Heaven Val, Rest in Power Val, and I just wrote Rest in Peace Val, your pain is no longer there. He had throat cancer. But one of the craziest things is a week before he passed, he was in LA and somebody gave him a Batman mask and he put it on in the cow and he still, he's like, hey, old man, Batman. But no, I mean, like I said, just everyone's been pouring in, talking about his favorite movies. I watched one video and basically I was kind of mad at them for their ranking. It's their rankings, which is cool, but I'm like, bro, how are you gonna leave out this movie? How are you gonna leave out that movie? And to me, I just kind of got mad, like how they said, like, oh, well, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was a hell of a lot better than his performance in Heat. I was like, dude, get out of the room right now. You suck. So, while everyone's sleeping, I'm just sitting here having a beer for the working man, and of course, my man Val. So I want to talk about his movie career. I mean, he was an off-Broadway actor. He had done theater. He went from Juilliard. And the crazy thing is, I did a quick search on him. Apparently, I didn't realize, he was born in Los Angeles, California, and then he died in Los Angeles, California. So I guess it'd be fitting. Even though for years he owned his own ranch out in New Mexico, that was him. So I was like, all right, well. Also, earlier I was watching a movie he did, The Saint. So there's that. Damn slow connect. Before I go on further, I just want to say that I'm kind of mad at Facebook for what they're doing, the whole canceling, every video that I've ever done on here will be deleted after 30 days, which makes no sense because you said you'll never delete them. Now you're saying, oh, we're going to delete them. Well, I hope I can download these to YouTube because this is BS, man. This is, so what? I can't, after this now, I'm just going to be deleted after 30 days. It's like, well, what if people, what am I going to do in August? Did a live video. Oh, we're deleting it now. So it didn't matter. Bye. Stupid Meta. Anyways. Anyways, on to Val Kilmer. So he's had a hell of a career. He's always had like that I remember Roger Ebert said something about how Val basically she was known as like the most unsung leading man in Hollywood, like because he always had these great films or he was in the background, but again, he was just so damn talented with what he did. Whether it was movies, whether it was TV shows. Just a lot of different things. Animated. He did an animated movie, and it's a shame. He should have done more animated movies. I just thought he had a great voice, but anyways, so the first thing he did was this ABC after school special called One Too Many, which is about teenage drinking and driving. I'm kidding, but the thing is, it starred him and a young Michelle Pfeiffer, and I was like, oh. And then years later, he ended up doing a movie called Top Secret from the creators of Airplane, and he played like this Elvis Presley style this Elvis Presley style singer named Nick Rivers. That's for you, Niate. Basically, it's a spy spoof about what happened if a musical artist was asked to go into World War II and basically work for the Americans and to stop the Nazis, which is what Nick is asked to. He's asked by the British and the French to team up to stop them. So so one of the highlights of the movie is Nick Rivers is at a dinner and is at this like very regal dinner and he's wearing a tuxedo and he starts breaking out Tutti Frutti. And one of the funniest things is he's performing live on stage before he goes to overseas. And the thing is, he slips into his pants and he pulls out his boxers and he throws it out in the crowd right in the middle of the song. I'm like, dang. And the funniest thing is I was watching because it's just sort of funny. It's hilarious. Peter Cushing has a small part in it. Omar Sharif has a small part in it. And the crazy thing is that somebody, like, when they're talking about it, because one scene where him and Lucy Goodrich's character stop, and then they do like that whole, look at the screen like, what if we're in the middle of a movie? And they said, and it's funny because somebody's like, dude, he looked like Austin Butler. And it's crazy because the rumor is Michael Mann's going to do a Heat Part 2 in the book, which is based off the book he wrote, and then he's going to make it into a movie. And in that book, which is a sequel, half sequel, half prequel, the sequel, Chris, who escaped from the first movie, is now working, it's like a couple years after the events of the first movie, he's now working in Uruguay as a gun for hire. And even though this has been 30 years since Heat came out, the rumor was they're going to get Austin Butler to play the character of Chris Shirless. And I can kind of see him playing a younger Val. So I'm like, all right, do it, man. Get Austin. So after that, he had starred in Real Genius, which is a movie my brother loved. And Real Genius is famous for... it's famous because Val Kilmer got to shine through, playing the young Chris Knight, this genius of a teenager, college grad, but he's also a bit of a wise ass and a bit of a guy who likes to party, and he has to take in a young 15-year-old prodigy named Mitch under his wing. He tries to help him, like, dude, the hell with the bullies, let's just get back at them, and it's him losing his mind, and ultimately they both team up to create this heat-guided laser, which they didn't realize technically the government was using it as going to use it as a weapon. But the thing is, he's like, no, I didn't create that weapon. I didn't create this laser to be a weapon. I was just told create a laser. And then, because his whole thing is, if I help create a laser, I graduate with honors, and that's it. I can smile. But then when he realized that his friend tells him, Chris, that thing was, there's a rumor going on that you guys that Hathaway was building that laser because the government gave him a grant, and they're going to use said laser to become as a new weapon. He's basically eating a cheeseburger with french fries and he has ketchup on his lip, and he's like, it just dawned on him. So then Chris and Mitch have to team up along with their other friends to make sure the laser doesn't basically destroy any human beings, but instead it destroys Hathaway's house. And the movie ends with Hathaway's house being destroyed with one gigantic prank with a whole bunch of, like, I'd say maybe thousands of pounds of buttered popcorn, which Hathaway hates. So instead of killing the guy, they just destroy his house, and he hates popcorn, makes him nauseous. So then basically it's like one last screw you, Hathaway. We're graduating, but you're not going to use what we know to create a weapon so you can make billions of dollars, you sick bastard. And it ends with everybody just chilling, eating popcorn, sticking it to Hathaway, and then of course the movie's main theme song, the Tears for Fears song. Everybody wants to rule the world. Meow. And then after he did Real Genius, he did I think, oh wait, not the Real Genius. He got lucky because in '85 was Real Genius, and then he was supposed to be in Blue Velvet, but he turned that down. But in 1986, he started making. Oh no, that's my crack on my phone. He started a star making performance in a little movie called Top Gun, where he plays a pilot named Tom Kazansky, aka Iceman. That's Mr. Iceman to you. And of course, basically, there's a rivalry between, he's not the main character. We all know that Pete Mitchell, alias Maverick's the star. It's Tom Cruise, but damn if he doesn't do his best to steal the show playing the cocky blonde guy. And ultimately, the movie, he's just a side character. I don't want to say he's like a supporting character and a rival to Maverick. But damn if he doesn't do such a great job playing like this cocky, smooth, blonde-haired guy with the glasses. And of course, as always, that's what I heard about you, Maverick. You're dangerous and you fly by the seat of your pants. And, the whole thing is like, I don't like you because you're dangerous and you're going to get yourself killed. That's right. Ice, man. I am dangerous. And then he does this thing. Like, what the hell was that all about? And then, of course, there's the iconic volleyball scene where him and Slider are playing Goose and Maverick. And, of course, you got, Kenny Loggins. I'm playing with the boys. Speaking of Kenny Loggins. Sorry. Kenny Loggins earbuds. Playing with the boys. Now that takes a sunset. I'm playing with the boys. And then, of course, ultimately, him and Maverick are trying to go for one thing, but Maverick gets stuck in a washout, or not washout, but a tail wash, what have you. Airplane spinning. Danger, Maverick's in a tail wash. Come in. And of course, they have to punch out, but then unfortunately, it costs, when they, watch out for the canopy. Maverick makes it, but Goose doesn't, which cracks his neck, and then ultimately, they fall into the water, and unfortunately, Goose dies. But, Goose dies, and Maverick is basically, Gildan, like, oh my god, I just killed my Rio. He had a wife and he had a kid. And I just remember Iceman goes up to him and he's kind of like, Maverick, we're all sorry about Goose, man. We all loved him. Sorry. And he just walks away. And the thing is just like, he wants to, tell him everything, but he just can't. He's just like, I can't open up myself to this guy because I'm still in competition. And later on, when Maverick decides he wants to drop out of Top Gun, he just says, look, man, you can still graduate. Look, Viper, played by Tom Skerritt, says, look, you can graduate with your class. You're not going to win Top Gun, but you still have enough points to graduate. And in the end, Maverick sticks around, he graduates, but Iceman ends up winning Top Gun, along with Slider. And everyone's just celebrating, and everyone's happy, and everyone's just like, hey, man, congratulations. You earned it. And then, right as the party gets celebrated, they're told, hey, we got to, hey, party's cut. Everybody's got to, go. Everyone's going to get your orders. We got to do our thing. Iceman, Slider, this guy. Maverick, sir. Maverick, you get your Rio when you get shipped up there. If not, you call me. I'll fly with you. And then, of course, ultimately, while, I'm trying to think, while Iceman and Slider are doing their thing, I think Wolfman and Hollywood maybe it was Wolfman, another guy. They're being their partners, and then finally, what was I going to say? Maverick teams up with Merlin, who is Tim Robbins, and then they go out there and fly. And at first, Iceman tries to tell the captain, the admiral, about, hey, listen, sir, and he's like, forget it, Kamansky. I know what you're going to say. Just get on your plane and fly. Maverick gets all through his, his own personal BS and ends up saving Iceman and Wolfman together. And, they're all flying and, right then and there when they make it home alive, you You're still dangerous. You can be my wingman. Bullshit. You can be my wingman. And then they hug it out. And yeah, so, again, just that whole Navy, again, that movie was all about the Navy and the Flyers being badass. Everyone's having a beer, and of course, the music. Damn well I gotta mention this. Highway to the danger zone. I'm gonna take it right into the danger zone. Okay. A year later, he would do. I was gonna say, I think it was 86. I think it was. I forget what he did in '87, but I know in '88 he did a movie for Ron Howard called Mad Mortigan, and I remember growing up. This movie is part of my childhood. I remember just watching it all the time, and it's funny because even though the movie is about a dwarf named Willow, Val Kilmer, on the other hand, is supposed to be like he's top billed and he's the star of the movie, but yet it's Willow's movie, and yet he's just basically the hulking, swordsman Mad Mortigan who has to help him. And ultimately, the movie's about in this far off mystical land, there are humans and then there are Nelwyn's. Nelwyn's are dwarves. And then you have the humans, of course. And so when a human baby, or a Dakini baby, who is prophesied to stop the evil Queen Bathmorda from out this faraway land, because the thing is, Bathmorda is Bathmorda is doing everything, trying to kidnap mothers and make sure that, whatever baby is destined to become, the one to kill me, I'm going to kill them before they get a chance to get me. But, Laura Dannon's mother escapes. Laura Dannon's mother has a cleaning lady take the baby and escaping. And so basically by doing that, that's how Laura Dannon's able to survive. But even though the cleaning lady's literally moving, there's not a target on her back. And so the only thing she can do is get Laura Dannon to safety by putting her on a little moat and flying her upriver while her hunting dogs attack her. Literally, to know that, maybe an hour later, the thing that Laura Dannon's floating on ends up being sent to a little village, and she's found by children who happen to be no one. And then the children belong to Willow Offgood, who basically rescues her, even though they're told, hey, don't touch the baby, it's a Daikini, it's not Nelwyn. Don't, just leave it alone. We can't keep it. That's that. And of course, his wife, his typical wife thing, just grabs the baby and just come on, let's go. It's like, hey, there's no one listening to me or what? Mams, yeah. And so Willow thinks this is a bad idea, It's like, we can't take a Daikini baby with us, they're going to run me out of town. And plus, I got a big day tomorrow. Kyra, sorry. So Kyra was just saying, Willow, it's okay. It's going to be fine. And so basically, at first, he's like, I'm not too keen. And then when the baby starts crying, and then the wife gives him the baby, and then ultimately the baby stops crying and cooing. Basically, she trusts Willow. And he's like, hey, how you doing? So the next day, they're at this big town fair, what have you. And unfortunately, Bathmorda's dogs are there. But look at the town warriors, Lothgard and a couple other guys. If you've seen them, they look familiar. Like Tony Cox is one guy, and Phil, I can't remember his last name, but I know he plays Lothgard. They were able to come in and stop the dogs. And then meanwhile, Lothgard's like, they're going after someone's baby. Right then and there, red light goes off in Willow's head. Oh my God, they're going after, they're coming for Laura Dannon. So he goes home and he tells his wife, Kaya, look, we can't keep this baby. We have to tell the village elder, Billy Barty, who plays the village elder, who's a wizard. He comes and tells him, "Hey, Cisco." He comes and tells him, "Hi, elder. This baby came near my residence." Well, this is the Dakini baby. I didn't know what else to do, sir. It's all right. It's all right. Well, she looks fine to me. Willow, this baby here was sent for a purpose. You have to take it back to a faraway land. What? You have to take it to Dakini's. It's not safe here. You're gonna need a party to help. You're gonna need a party to help you. And at first, he says, "I'm gonna roll the bones. They're gonna send me a message." He rolls these bones, not dice, but actual bones, and he says, "This party will be very important. We need volunteers, Willow. So Willow's friend Migosh says, I'm in. And then a couple other guys. And then next thing you know, Rothgard and his guys like, we're in too. And Burlcut, who is like the wealthy town douchebag. It's funny because for years I thought his name was Bobo Cut, but it's actually Burlcut. Basically just says, Rothgard, stand down. Hey, the Bones say that they need a leader. And that leader is you, Burlcut. Right then and then Burlcut's like, Rothgard. So, they go on a mission to, with the baby trying to figure out how they're going to, where they're going to go. So 2 days of hiking they end up finding, a human named Ed Morgan in a, little prison cell. I mean, like a makeshift prison cell left to die. So when they realize, hey, why don't we just give him the baby and we'll just dip? It's like, we can't give him the baby. He's locked in it for a reason. Brokut's like, you know what? To hell with this. You're on your own peck. I mean, you're on your own off good. Guys, let's go home. And basically, he threatens to take his land while he's away. And, someday, Brokut, someday. Lame threat. But anyway, so now Willow is stuck with Laura Dannon, Migosh, and what the hell was I going to say? Matt Mordigan, who's still locked up. So ultimately, when they get Matt Mordigan free, he decides to take the baby. And it's like, don't worry, I'll take her somewhere safe. You guys are good. They're thinking, okay, we're home free. Let's get out of here. But then they get kidnapped by these mythical little midget, creatures known as brownies. And they're hogtied. And they're basically, the thing is, they kidnapped Laura Dannon. And they're basically told, what have you done with the baby? I stole it. We stole her while we stole human who was taking a leak in the woods. And once the spirit comes out, I'm assuming it's the spirit of Alora Dannon when she's older, but she basically tells the brownies, look, Alora Dannon chose you for this mission, not some random, Daikini. You, Willow Offguard, are the one who could help her. It is your mission. This is, your destiny. So Willow, realizing, okay, now I guess it is my destiny, tells me, gosh, I'm taking the baby. I'm going to take the baby. You go home. You tell my family I love them, okay, buddy? Okay. So then he goes off on a quest and he ends up running into Mad Mornigan once again. And obviously now they have to become, makeshift partners because now there's a bounty on the baby. And also the queen's daughter, Sorsha, wants the baby and now knows that Willow and Mad Mordigan have possession of Laura Dannon, and they have to go, get the baby before she does, or otherwise Queen Bathmorda will kill her. So, anyways, I'm trailing on too long about this movie. I gotta move on. But it was a great movie, and I loved it. And he was just a badass. The moment he got a sword in his hand, it's like, oh, my man's a Jedi. And I just remember he says he's a swordsman, and Willow's like, I don't believe you. The moment he gets the sword in his hand and takes out 3 guys like it's nothing, Willow, you are great. And then man, boy gets screwed up by slipping in snow. But like I said, Val Kilmer did a lot of training for this movie, sword fighting, and then at the end he gets his suit of armor and he's ready to rock and roll, and he even gets to take out the main bad guy, General Kale. So, that was one of my favorite. Again, I watched the movie as a kid growing up. George Lucas, Ron Howard. The music was fantastic, which they used for years in movie trailers. Warwick Davis. Oh, man. So, anyways, he did a movie. And the thing is, he met his wife while filming, his first wife, Joanne Wally. She was Sorsha. And there's a funny scene because he's trying to sweet talk her, and Willow gives him guff. It's like, what the hell happened? Poetry. Oh yeah, I love you, Sorsha. I worship you, Sorsha. Y'all guys kill you, moron. I don't like her. She kicked me in the face. Do I? But it's kind of, like I said, it's just kind of funny. He had comedy and he had action sequence. But he was great in that. Then he did a movie called Kill Me Again, which is like this noir thriller with Joanne. Didn't do all that great, but I know Tubi always has it, but... And then after that, he did The Doors, which was like the 90s was like his big decade for him. He did The Doors, he played Jim Morrison, and there are like a lot of trivia notes. Like, in order for him to land the role, he took a full year to study Morrison's poetry and his singing, and he basically played a tape for Oliver Stone, the director. And it's like, listen, some of the songs I sang and some of the songs Jim Morrison sang, and I want you to listen and tell me which one you think. It was me and him. But what Oliver Stone didn't realize is that Val went to a vocal coach, and also all the songs were sung by Val. And he's just like, okay, I know you sang on songs 2 and 3, but 1, 4, and 5, that had to be Jim. And he's like, no, that's all me, dude. And so that's when he was hired to play Jim Morrison. But for the movie, he had not only have to grow his hair out, but he also had to gain weight and grow a beard when he was older. But then the thing is, since the movie was filmed out of order, half the movie he would have to be fat and with a beard, and then he'd have to lose the weight and then shave his beard. And that got him a lot of praise for his performance as Jim Morrison. A lot of people thought, Val really played the hell out of that role. He got a lot of praise for it. What was I going to say? And then a year later, in 1982, he did a movie that my dad introduced me and my brother to. It's a great movie called Thunderheart. It's very underrated. It's about a half Sioux FBI agent named Ray, who I can't remember the character's last name. Ray has to go to he has to go to Montana, Wyoming, or somewhere to solve a crime. And it's on the reservation. And he's like, why am I being sent here? Because you're half Native American yourself. You'll fit in. It's like, dude, I don't know any of this stuff. This is like when I was a child. I don't know any of this shit. I was raised by my white mother. So when he's there, he tries to investigate the murder of a radical, but at the same time, he's also going to deal with these racist. I think they're called AIM or ARM, a movement that are supposed to be policing Native Americans, but they're basically just racist assholes. And between an older partner, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and at the same time, he meets the reservation police, a man by a detective named Walter Crowhorse, played by Graham Greene, and it is, to me, him and Val Kilmer make this movie. I remember the first movie this is the first movie I ever seen him in. Years later, I saw him in Dances with Wolves, and he used to be on Longmire, and he's also in Die Hard 3. But, like I said, this movie, to me, like I said, Val Kilmer and Graham Greene, they both complemented each other. So the thing is, the more Ray digs into this murder case, he also learns more about himself, because they have a village elder called the Old Man. He just smokes and watches TV. He basically just tells him, look, man, the old man says you got to find your own way. Trust me there, FBI man. You can find it. And so later on, when him and Walter are fighting, the old man speaks in English, and they're just like, he didn't tell me he speaks English. He only speaks English when he's really pissed. And so they talk, and the thing is, they do this old Indian trick where they're trying to change sunglasses, but the old man really wants Ray's watch, and that's like, dude, my father gave this to me. I can't give it to you. And at the end, when Maggie, their friend Maggie Bear is murdered, that school teacher named Maggie Bear is murdered, Ray and Walter are doing everything in their power to try to solve this, and they realize, this is an inside job. This wasn't like some radical on his own, This guy had to be, this was an FBI issued gun, or an FBI, his gun was linked to FBI ties. And so towards the end of the movie, there's a car chase involving Ray and Walter trying to get to this reserve, while his Sam Shepard, Ray's old partner, and Fred Ward is in charge of AIM. They basically have their militia after them, and they're trying to figure out, what's going on. And he's like, listen, Ray, it's not too late to change sides. We just go back with us. We'll go to Washington. We'll get this figured out now, because you are committing career suicide. Do you understand me, son? This is dangerous. Even when he has him on video, on tape, as proof, like, hey, he just basically confessed. You gave him the gun. What the hell are you trying to prove here? And so it ultimately ends with them at this high Indian reservation, sacred place. And so here Ray throws his gun down, and Walter hasn't even gone for his piece, and they realize they're unarmed, but then they hear a Native American chants and, yelling. And then they look up and they see all these village elders, and you see everybody off the reservation with hunting rifles and Winchesters pointing at the aim guys from a high angle, like, dude, we got you boys sniped. Make a move. And then basically, Ray says, you hear that? They said this land is not for sale. And then they look up, and then there's the old man with the Winchester, and he waves like, I got you boys' back. And so later on at the end of the movie, when Walter and he basically says, look, I don't know what to say. And then Walter looks at Ray, he's like, there's no word for goodbye. And there's no Sioux word for goodbye, Ray. You take care of yourself. And then ultimately, Ray just is about to leave, but before he sees the old man, he gives him his watch. He's like, hey, thank you. He gives him his watch. And then he opens, he sees his card, he sees the passenger side, and there's the peace pipe that the old man had and that he gave to Ray. And Ray will honor it. So then Ray gets in his car and drives away. And then he just sees, like, the old abandoned road and the highways. And, it just gives you think, what more land do they want to take from the natives? And that's just how the movie ends. And I just remember seeing that Thanksgiving 1982. I remember seeing the previews for it because TriStar Pictures had that and Basic Instinct come out practically at the same time, so they're promoting the hell out of both movies. But Thunderheart was the movie that actually had, a story and a message behind it. And I didn't know if Robert De Niro produced that movie, so I was like, oh, but I remember watching it and seeing it with my aunt, and we thought it was a great movie, and I just remember just like, hey, I'll see it. Val Kilmer's in it. Why not? I love that guy. And, it was a good story. I had the DVD when I moved from Fremont to here and I lost it. I was like, oh my God, I got to find that movie on Blu-ray. Hope to God Shot Factory gets the rights on it and releases it. Let's see what else. And then in 93, he would do a movie called Tombstone. And this is where it's at. Hold that thought. I'll be right back. Just hang on. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Sorry about that. Had to get another drink. So then in 1993, he would do Tombstone. And the thing is, with this movie, this would become like his most famous performance for playing John Doc Holliday, a former Southern gentleman who was a dentist who's battling lung disease, tuberculosis, or as they call them, a lunger. And even though this movie had a shitload of actors, too many to name, basically the movie's main core is Wyatt Earp, Kurt Russell, Doc, Val Kilmer, and then the two other Morgan boys. You've got Virgil, which is Sam Elliott, and Morgan, Bill Paxton, another legend. So, yeah. But I just remember, as a kid, I tried watching it. I couldn't get into it. As a senior in high school watching it on DVD for the first time, I was like, oh, damn, I was missing out. This movie's fantastic. Because it's a Western, but they don't, make it a traditional boring Western. I was like, nah, dude, just watch this movie. Everything's perfect. Just give it a chance. And just the whole, the movie begins with Robert Mitchum narrating about how in the West there were these, there was the Clanton something gang, but in this movie they just call them the Cowboys, and they were the most dangerous guys in the world. They were the most dangerous, band of outlaws in the West, and in order to stop them, Wyatt Earp, a retired lawman from Kansas, wanted to go out west to the city or town of Tombstone to retire with his brothers, who were also lawmen, older brother Virgil and younger brother Morgan, along with their wives. And they just wanted to, make a peaceful living. At the same time, their old running buddy, John Doc Holliday, who went to Arizona because the heat was supposed to make him better, he figured, I'll make, he's also a gambler, and a gunfighter, I'll make my living in, I'll just live out west. So the cool thing is, when the movie begins, the Cowboys kill all these people at a wedding. And the thing is, Curly Bill, who's one of the leaders of the Cowboys, basically starts eating food, and he just says, hey, Johnny, he's talking to Johnny Ringo, played by Michael Biehn, what was that old priest talking about in Spanish? He said that death rode on a pale horse, and hell followed him. Well, that's not how it goes. I remember the Johnny Cash song, The Man Who Comes Around, it was like, I heard a talk of a white horse. It was hell. No, it was death, and hell followed him. So then later on, it cuts to Wyatt, finally making it to Arizona, and then he runs into Virgil and Morgan and their wives. And so the thing is, they just want to, they just want to stake their claim to the Old West. They just want to do their thing. All these all these marshals are like asking why would he consider coming back into office. He's like, no, that ain't for me, dude. I don't want to do that. So, what else is happening on the, literally on the other, I'd say on the other side of the state, Doc is gambling with he's playing poker, and he's just like, well, that must be a peach of a hand you have there, Ed. And then this girl, Kate, is distracting him, like, thank you, darling. Well, Kate, you're not wearing a bustle. How lewd. Come on, holiday, you know right. Well, I suppose I'm one for the call. Cover yours, darling. He flips his cards over. Isn't that a daisy? And then the guy basically is pissed because he thinks Doc is cheating. And then Doc says, does this mean we're not friends anymore, Ed? Because if it wasn't, I don't think I can ever hold forth. And the guy talks shit saying, I don't care about those two guns, you're just a skinny, ugly younger. Well, Ed, that's rude. I hate rudeness. And then next thing you know, the guy goes with his gun. Doc whips his guns out like it's nothing. And then he puts his guns down, it's like that. Now we can be friends again. But not before Doc shivs the guy and then cuts him. And before Kate has her gun, pulls out her gun, and they rob this little casino they're in out of all the cash. And then Doc puts his guns back, and Kate's like, I had a boy pack up our luggage at the horse. Pack up our luggage. They're at the horse is waiting for us. And he's just like, and Doc's like, so that's why you're not wearing a bustle. Bustle's undies. But still. Just the whole, well, my sweet, soft Hungarian devil. Well then, I guess this is it for us. I said do. And then he just has like a little whiskey up, throws in his bag full of money, and then they just walk out. And then he grabs Kate and is like, darling, why not bother with the luggage? Kisses her, and then they get on the horse, and then they ride off. And then later on, Doc runs into them when an angry Billy Bob Thornton, who just got bitch slapped by Wyatt, comes at them with a shotgun, and all you hear is, "Watch Johnny Tyler, the madcap." Doc, where you going with that shotgun there, Johnny? I know he's back in town. So Doc had that reputation of being a badass, but still, he's just like, well, I'll be. How the hell have you been? Right, I am rolling. Virgil? Hey, Morgan? Hey, Doc. Virgil? Hello, Doc. And that was it. And then later on, we meet the sheriff Behan, we meet the town marshal Behan, who's kind of a douchebag, a wealthy one. And then you get to meet two guys, Turkey Jack and Deer Creek Johnson, two gunfighters who were running buddies of White and Doc's back in the day. Because after they shoot a guy in a fair fight, they're like, "What? Doc? How you doing? Creek, you here, buddy? Oh, okay. Boys, how many of those firearms you need to come with me? It's a fair fight, Sheriff. Be that as a man, boys. Come on." No, on you will. And it's funny because after they're talking about, well, no, this isn't just some shitty little boomtown, believe it or not, Mr. Earp. This town is very, so-and-so. And so when Turkey and Creek shoot these two guys accusing them of cheating, Doc's like, oh, yes, very cosmopolitan. And then, of course, we end up getting our love interest played by Daniel Delaney. And then we also get badass Billy Zane playing Fabian, a theater operator with a bunch of class actors. And, okay, I can't remember her name for the life of me. God. I think her name is Kate, but don't hold me on that. But anyways, so she fancies Wyatt. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are in town too, so everybody goes to the Tombstone Theater to see these guys perform, and, the first guy they have, the Cowboys are like booing. Well, actually, before the show begins, the Cowboys are on the ground seats just like drinking and booing each other, just acting like idiots. Upstairs, Wyatt and the rest of the Earps, and then, of course, Doc and Kate. Oh, Kate, I'm sorry, Kate is, oh God, what was I going to say? Is Doc's girl. So they basically run into each other, and then they're sitting there, and then, of course, Jason Priestley walks in, and the Cowboys are messing with him because he plays like a deputy. Billy's like, hey, sister boy, give me some, give me. The John Cord from Sex and the City. And because I was like, let alone Barnes. Billy, sit with me. And then, of course, they sit down, the show begins, and the first guy they get is a guy who does a juggling act. And so he shoots, the thing is, he's juggling, and then Barnes shoots the thing out of the guy's hand, and he runs off. And then Fabian's like, well, no time for our introduction. Pretty, and then Curly Bill, the prettiest man I ever saw. He takes off his cape when he's in leggings or tights and a white old English shirt for Do Shakespeare. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, is that Christmas Day speech from Henry V? To set the scene. And unfazed, Fabian just starts doing the speech. If we are to die, then we are to live. But to live, the greater the share. And so they're all doing all this stuff. And so Barnes is like, he's got some nerve on there. Say that. What do you think there, Billy Neely? And then Billy's like, I think he's wonderful. They don't like play the fact that Billy may be gay for Fabian, but it is implied. But again, this is the Old West, but that's beside the point. So they're all just sitting there enjoying it, and then finally he does this. After the end, he does the speech for those who hold their manhood to ships, while sending who fought with us. A boss on Christmas Day, and Powers with his Curly Bill, the biggest badass of the Cowboys, stands up and gives him a standing ovation. He's like, "That's great. That's how you got to stuff." And all the guys are like, "Oh hell yeah!" So then they grab the guns and they start shooting in the air. And it's funny, you just see all these cowboys, like Stephen Lang, Robert John Burke, Thomas Hayden Church, John Corbett, and all these other cats, just like, beer with shots of tequila in their hands doing this and just shooting in the air. And then you see Curly Bill standing up like this, like, hell yeah. And it's just you see guns going off. And then next thing you look on the background, like, play it again. And then after that, they see a performance from Faust, like, what the hell is this? Oh, that's Faust. He's going to make a deal with the devil. And so you see Faust, the story of Faust making a deal with the devil. Curly Bill's just sitting next to Johnny Ringo. He's like, you know what I do? I take the other crawfish and drill that old devil in the ass. And he starts laughing. And then he looks at Johnny Ringo. He's like, how about you, Johnny? What would you do? How about you, Juanita? What'd you do? Oh, he did. And so the next scene, the women go back home. Wyatt, Doc, and the rest of the other boys go to the Orient, which is the Orient, which is a bar a casino that Wyatt now is running. And he's also the Pharaoh dealer. And so they have the after party for all the actors there. Then Delaney shows up. Everybody just cheers for her. And then, of course, when Fabian walks in, everybody gives him his name. It's like, hey, bravo, youngster. And then Billy's like, Mr. Fabian, please sit with me. And I was like, aw. And so when the Cowboys walk in, automatically, it's this whole thing where it's like, Ike Clanton, who's this wannabe thug, but he ends up being the biggest candy-ass wuss of the whole film. He's like, well, listen here, Mr. Kansas Law Dog. Law Dog, go in here. Savvy? I'm retired. That's good. Because law just don't go. Yeah, law doesn't go around here. I heard you the first time, dude. Hey, when did the king? $500. And gives Curly Bill $500, and Brill's like, shut up, Ike. And then, of course, Johnny Ringo's looking at Doc. Sizing him, it's like, he must be Doc Holliday. So, are you retired too? Oh, me? Not me, sir. I'm in my prime. Oh, yeah, look it. He must be Ringo. Look, honey, it's Johnny Ringo. The deadliest pistolier since, God, I forgot the name, the guy that he says, the deadliest pistolier since so-and-so. I don't know, there's just something about him. What do you think, honey? What do you think, darling? I don't think he likes you. No, it's not that, just something about, oh no, she says, you don't even know him. He's like, yes, there's something about him. I don't know, maybe it's the eyes. Nope, I hate him. He's drunk. And after he takes a swig, he's like, his whiskey, because he has a little silver tin cup, he's like, he's drunk. En vino veratas. Ajaca watches. Fratello, no fellow, us. Saventus, así. No, please, scata. And the thing is, the sheriff comes in and is just like, look, boys, we don't want to fight tonight. Not any kind of language. You see, darling, that's old Latin. Apparently, Mr. Ringo's an educated man. Now I really hate him. And then Johnny whips his gun out, points at him, and cocks it back, but not before White, who has a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun under the booth right here, cocked too, just in case anyone tries anything, which is smart on his part. So then Curly Bill's like, watch it. Hey, watch it, Johnny. I hear he's fast. So then Johnny just uncocks his gun, looks, and just starts spinning around. You have the cowboys like, we just whistle, wolf whistle, and then he's just doing his thing, fills up this way, that way. And then he finally puts it away, and everyone's like, hey. So then Doc's like, okay. He takes his little tin cup and he starts, spinning it around like a little gun in here, just flipping up and down, all around. Just basically, just his way of talking shit to Ringo. And then after that, he just spins it around, puts it back on next to his gun holster, and was like laughing. And he's like, bravo. And so everyone starts laughing, and then the cowboys leave, and then Curly Bill with the $500 he won, even though it wasn't his money, he basically looks at Daniel Delaney, he's like, drinks on me, yeah, and everybody leaves. So ultimately, the movie is leading down to the gunfight at the OK Corral between the Cowboys, Wyatt, Virgil, Morgan, and of course Doc. And so ultimately, it comes to where the town is lawless. After Curly Bill in a high stupor shoots I forget old Fred, the town sheriff. Wyatt ends up knocking him out and takes him to the jail cell to be deranged. But the thing is, because there were no witnesses, Curly Bill got off, and so they're trying to realizing that the town has no law. Virgil decides to be sworn in as the town sheriff, and then he also swears in Morgan, and Wyatt's like, what the hell are you guys doing? We got a good thing going. We gave up our badges and guns. We don't need this shit. And it's just like, Wyatt, there are people walking around with guns. It's lawless. I can make a difference. And at first, he takes his gun off and basically says, you guys are both damn fools. This isn't going to happen. And so realizing... after there's a drunken encounter involving the Cowboys and Doc, when Doc's been playing poker for 12 hours straight at the Orient, and there's a fight between Virgil and Ike Clanton, and he's just like, oh, I said no. So this classic shit-talking thing where he's just like, what is that, 12 hands there, Holiday? That's not lucky, son of a bitch. Why? What are you ever excited of? Maybe poker's not your game. I got an idea. Let's have a spelling contest. Or you stick a deck, and the next thing Morgan breaks it up. I was like, all right, knock it off. You want to take his side? I don't want to got cheated. Yeah, you're all in this together. You goddamn pimps. Nobody cheated you, Ike. Just go home. Don't you get your hands on me. You don't ever touch your hand. You're no man in a cowboy. You hear me? You hear me? You hear me, you pimp? Don't you touch me, you little son of a bitch. And right there, I thought Sam Elliott was going to beat the shit out of Stephen Lang. But Wyatt breaks it up, and then after that, Virgil basically sneaks up from behind Ike and knocks him out, taking his guns and arresting him for drunk and disorderly. And then, of course, basically when he has to let him go in the morning, the Cowboys are pissed that, hey, you got the drop on Ike. What the hell, bro? Not to mention, you can give Ike his guns back not until he sobers up. And so basically the Cowboys are talking shit like we're threatening you. And so when one guy talks smack to Wyatt, it's like, I'll take you right here, right now, man. He flashes a gun. Wyatt takes the gun and knocks him on his ass and says, here you go, sweetheart. And then basically says, we're coming to get you guys. So Ike and his brother Billy and a couple other guys, are threatening, to hurt them. So as they keep hearing rumors about the town that the Cowboys are going to take off the Wyatts, the Earps, Wyatt says, a lot of things are going to go bad today. I think it's time you boys swear me in. And right then and there, Wyatt's now sworn in as a police officer. He's also breaks out his long barrel Colt as a peacemaker Colt that says Wyatt Earp lawmaker. And meanwhile, Doc, who basically had a allergic reaction or something, he's bedridden. And the doc says, if you can stop gambling, stop drinking, you might be able to live longer. And he's like, whatever. And so basically he calls out of bed with street clothes and his guns. He's like, what the hell's going on? I got people coming up there to my room while I'm sleeping telling me the McLaren brothers want to kill you. What the hell? And so they're basically just thinking there's 4 of us. And there's 6, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 of them. And so they're all just thinking, we got to figure this out. And so Wyatt says to Doc, this ain't your fight, Doc. You ain't got no part in this. Doc looks him dead in his eye and says, that is a hell of a thing for you to say to me. Doc is that ride or die guy. So basically, It's like, all right, let's go disarm these guys. Virgil give Doc the shotgun. He's easy on the howitzer. So then Virgil takes Doc's pimp cane. Meanwhile, Doc, who's got like a trench coat or a cape, has the old double barrel shotgun under him. So once they make it to the shed where the guys are at, they basically said, "We're here to disarm you. Put your hands up." The next thing you know, they all put their hands on the guns and they're like, "No, that's not what I want." Doc pulls out the cape, has the shotgun ready to go. They're all looking at each other. Meanwhile, Billy looks at Doc. Doc goes like this. And that wink that Val Kilmer did to Thomas Hayden Church was improvised. And so right when they're just doing this, they're like, Wyatt's like, "Oh my God." Everyone grabs their pieces. Wyatt pulls his out and starts shooting some of these guys. You know, some people, I know that Morgan gets swinged in the leg. I can't remember if anything happens to Virgil, but I know Wyatt is basically just standing still shooting guys left and right. Nobody can touch Wyatt. Meanwhile, Doc, who's got a shotgun, shoots once in the air to distract the horse, and then he shoots John Corbett, and then he takes his guns, grabs his pea shooters, and just starts going boom, 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 loud, blasting everybody. And then meanwhile, Ike Klein's like, "Don't shoot! I ain't got no gun! This fight's commenced! Get the fighter! Get the hell out of here!" And then, of course, once he steals Behan's gun by going in the building next door while Dana Delaney was doing nude photos, he takes Behan's gun, starts shooting at them from behind, and I think he wings Virgil. And right as this is happening, Wyatt's like, "Doc, behind us!" Doc just basically starts going two-fisting on him, just like boom, 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 boom. And the Ike leaves while his brother gets smoked. John Corbett gets smoked. Another guy gets smoked. Meanwhile, Robert John Burke is the last guy still standing, despite the fact that he got shot already. Doc tries to shoot him with his handgun, his right gun, and he's like, "I got you now, you son of a bitch. You're a daisy if you do." And right then and there, Doc shoots him on his left flank, and then Morgan shoots him in the head. So, and the thing is, basically, Wyatt told him, "You never want to kill a man because it is the worst feeling on earth. Trust me." So right after Morgan kills him, Wyatt looks at him and is like, "Morgan, you just stay quiet, okay, boy?" And then later on, when they have the funeral, they're all just sitting there, and Morgan basically just says, "Remember you told me that killing a man is one of the worst feelings in the world? You weren't lying." "I know, man. I know." So then later on, the Cowboys get retaliation by shooting Virgil in his arm and killing Morgan. And so basically, after they got their retaliation, they decide, here's an idea. Tonight, Ike, you and two of the other guys are going to you and Stillwell are going to finish the job. I want you to take out the women too. And the thing is, early in the movie, McMasters, who's riding with McMasters, Michael Rooker's character, who's riding with Turkey Jack and Deer Creek, he throws down his sash like, "I'm no longer part of the Cowboys." "You sure, McMasters?" "Not with them, and I don't appreciate them shooting women." So it's like, okay. Later in the movie, so when Stillwell and Ike decide to go out the room, like, "Hey, Maddie, where's Wyatt?" "Right behind you, Stillwell." "Oh, Ike's stupid." "No, don't shoot him unarmed." He looks at Virgil. He looks at Virgil and goes like this. So ultimately, now Wyatt he's gonna start his own war against the Cowboys, and he basically says, well, first he slices his neck and he starts bleeding because of his spurs, and he just says, "You see that? You see that, Ike? U.S. Marshal. That means it's legal. I see any man wearing a red sash, I kill said man. You hear me? The Cowboys are finished. You hear me, Clanton? Now run, you cur. You tell them that I'm coming. You hear me, Ike? I'm coming. And hell's coming with me." So now, Wyatt, Doc, McMasters, Turkey, and Deer Creek basically are on the original OG Fuck You All tour, where they're just killing all of the Cowboys. with, just random guys left and right. And so they're basically just sweeping house until one time they decide to get in the middle of an ambush. And, actually, no, wait, I think John Corbett didn't die earlier. He dies, like, right after Powers Booth does. And so, leading up to that, Wyatt, they're in a crossfire, and Wyatt's like, I'm not doing it like this. He goes out with a shotgun. They're all trying to shoot Wyatt. Meanwhile, Curly Bill's like, no, he's mine. He's mine. He tries to shoot him several times, and he keeps missing. And Wyatt just walks on the water like, no, what? No. Blasting Curly Bill in the chest, and then blasting another guy, dropping a shotgun, and then starts shooting everybody else, and then most of the cowboys are leaving. And so the guys are just basically just like, has anyone seen Wyatt? Yeah, he's walking on water. Well, if he's got another miracle, we're going to need one, because if I know them, the Ringo's planning something next. Meanwhile, Doc gets up, and he's all sweaty and coughing blood, and he's like, Doc, you should be in bed for God's sakes. What are you doing? I'm here to help Wyatt up. He's my friend. Oh, hell, I got plenty of friends. I don't. And that basically lets you know about, Doc's psyche, why he's doing this. And so later on, when they're trying to ride, Doc falls ill to the point where he almost falls off his horse. They take him to a rancher named Henry Hooker's place for safekeeping for Doc. Because, like, we have an injured man with us. He's sick. We need your help. I have a bed. You can bring him in. We can rest. We're in your debt, sir. And the cool thing is Charlton Heston played Henry Hooker. So I was like, right on. And so they brought him in. It's like, boys, he doesn't look too good. We'll keep an eye on him as best as we can, but I don't know much. And so the thing is, later on in the film, Dana Delaney, Fabian, they were robbed and ransacked. When Fabian christened for cowards, one of the cowboys shot him. And Billy's pissed because he's like, oh, man, because he touches his hand like, why did you do that? And Dana Delaney's like, I don't know why did you guys do this to him? He tried to bring something beautiful into your dry, miserable town, and this is how you pay him back? And it was kind of messed up, but so now Billy ends up leaving the brigade. Like, I got no part in this. Meanwhile, Ringo, Behan, and Lyko like, brigade, let's go. So once and deleted, and it's funny because they put this back in the director's cut. McMasters goes to take the other two remaining Dana Delaney and her friend, into the wildlands to make sure the cowboys don't mess with them. So once that's settled, Ike Clanton basically threatens to kill McMasters. And then later on, they see a wild horse and they're like, oh my God, it's McMasters. Wyatt, Johnny wants to message with you tomorrow. He wants to finish it. And he basically, and Wyatt's like, I'll be there. I'll be there. And so, right after that, Wyatt's talking to Doc, like, I don't think is there ever a chance I could beat him? And Doc, coughing his lungs up, says, no, Ringo's different. He's a gunfighter. He'll find a way if we hit you. It's what he wants. He wants to fight you like that. He won't talk. And you're going to have to kill him. I don't think I can do this. Can I have that? He looks at Wyatt's marshal badge. He takes it off, and he gives it to Doc. So first thing in the morning, Wyatt leaves, and he looks at everybody, and he just says, don't worry. He looks at Henry Hooker, and Hooker says, don't worry, they have to come. If they want him, they have to come through us. Thank you. I'll be back. So the thing is, Wyatt's on his way. Meanwhile, Ringo's sitting there in a tree, and he's like, well, I didn't think you had it in you. I'm a Huckleberry. Well, Johnny Ringo, it looked like someone walked over your grave. If I sound with you, Holiday, it's with someone else. Oh, I beg to differ, sir. You see, you and me were supposed to play a game for blood, and we never got a chance to. And this time, it's legal. He shows him the badge. Early in the movie, when Ringo, after what happened with the Cowboys, Ringo got drunk and he's like, I'm going to fight all you guys. Well, first, they try talking to Billy, and Billy's like, he gets mad at them and says, I'm a coward, I'm nothing, but if I wasn't, I'd fight you. And the next thing Michael, Johnny's like, Sister Boy should have stuck around. I want to play a game of blood, and it starts with you. And Wyatt opens the jacket. I don't got no beef with you, Ringo. Just let me alone, you wretched slugs. And we got the guts to play for blood. And then Doc, I'm Huckleberry. That's just my game. All right, Lunger, let's do it. I'll make you go, say when. And then Curly Bill grabs him because he knows, drunk as shit, Johnny Ringo doesn't have a chance. And plus he knows Doc Holliday would have smoked him like that. So fast forward to the end of the movie when basically Ringo, because if Wyatt Earp had to take out Curly Bill, then obviously Doc Holliday's got to take out Johnny Ringo. And so the whole, all right, Lunger, let's, he basically takes, Doc's challenge for the game, to, who's a quicker, on the hands. And he's like, all right, Lunger, let's do it. So they circle each other, they size up each other. Doc's got a cigarette in his hand, and he's practically knocking on Death's door, and he's still, with his gun, say when. And the cool thing is they draw. Meanwhile, Doc, while he's smoking a cigarette, just, one shot right to Ringo's dome, twirls his gun around, and he goes back to having a cigarette. Meanwhile, Johnny, the bullet with the Johnny's head, he's bleeding. And I'm like, oh! He's shooting his gun. And then Doc, oh, come on, Johnny. Come on. He passes off from the blood. He drops dead. And he's like, Daisy at all. He's just a little high strung. Poor soul. And right as Ringo passes out and dies, Wyatt shows up with his gun. And he's like, I wasn't as sick as I thought I was. And then he takes off his badge and throws it on Ringo's body. He's like, my hypocrisy only goes to so well. All right, then. Let's finish it. Yes, the last shot of Wyatt Earp and his Immortals. And then they leave, and then they start hunting all the cowboys, and all that's left is just Clan and Bean. And Clan takes off his sash. He's like, look, I'm a cowboy, and leaves. So right then and there, Wyatt and Doc and the rest of them, the Immortals, basically took out all the cowboys. And the movie kind of ends with Doc in a sanitarium in Colorado dying. And Wyatt tries to, play cards. I'm like, no more cards, no more gambling, no more nothing. I want you to find that spirited young girl of yours. Fall in love, have family, and have children. Be free, Wyatt, be free. So then after that, he just leaves and he just looks at Doc and he just says, thank you for everything, Doc. And then Doc just sits there, looks at his stuff, just like, oh, that's rather peculiar. And then he just dies in his sleep. Meanwhile, Wyatt goes up to Janet Delaney's character and he tells her about, I can do this, I can do that, and all this other stuff. And then, of course, he's just like, I owe you a dance. And so they dance while it's snowing, and then Robert Mitchum narrates, Doc Holliday died in San Antonio. The I-Clan was killed in the middle of an armed robbery. Blah, blah, blah. Wyatt Earp died in 1904 or whatever. It was 1920, whatever. And at his funeral, actor Tom Mix wept. And then that's just how the movie ends. And, to this day, that has gone down as one of Val Kilmer's best performances. And I'm pretty sure I should have been talking about his entire catalog, and yet I just took a 20-minute detour talking about Tombstone, and that's how damn good he was. This is supposed to be biography, but it's all work, and here I am talking about Doc Holliday, I'm Huckleberry, that's just my game, I'm in my prime. And to this day, that meme, I'm your Huckleberry, for Thanksgiving, it's like, anybody want any pumpkin pie? I'm your Huckleberry, that's just my game. And, so that, again, that's just one, to me, I think that's one of Val's best work, and it's a damn shame he did not get a Best Supporting Oscar nod for that role. What the fuck were they thinking? Even, I was going to say, Siskel and Ebert said that was one of the biggest robberies ever, why he got snubbed. He should have got nominated. I mean, I've seen other performers who get nominated, and I'm like, dude, they sucked in that movie. Even Bill Clinton, who was president at the time, said, dude, Val Kilmer was perfect as Doc Holliday. 1994, I don't know if he did a movie that year or not, but I know in 1995, that was his biggest year. He got to become Batman in Batman Forever. And yeah, like I said, he took over from Michael Keaton, and taking over from Michael Keaton, during Batman for the third one, that's a tall order. Val had no problem doing it. He had no problem wearing the suit, playing like Bruce Wayne, having to take a new Ward and Robin, and doing all this stuff. And to me, I grew up watching that movie. I remember seeing it opening day at the Century Berryessa theaters in '95. Wow. See, they put it on the big screen, and this is before we had like the IMAX or XD screens, so it was kind of a big deal. And I didn't know at the time watching it, Tim Burton produced it. I was like, oh, but just seeing him, the movie opens, he puts on the suit, grabs his toys, he goes to the Batmobile. Alfred, may I persuade you to take a sandwich, sir? I'll get you that too. And then, we see Two-Face and all the other guys. And I just remember me as a kid, me and my brother and our friends, Roberto Ishmael, we were trying to compare the difference between Keaton Batman and Val Batman. It just seemed like Val Batman seemed more like when he was with the people as Batman, he was more, more open. It was just like, I need to borrow this. Hey, I need that. Thank you. And then it's just like, hang on. So, as opposed to just like one word, I'm leaving, it's more like, hey, don't, be careful, that's acid. Grab my hand, hold this, hang on. And then that was like, you need help, Harvey. And that whole thing. And then as Bruce Wayne, he was more chill, relaxed. And right after he meets Dr. Chase Meridian, he breaks down her door and he's like, hi, I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm here 11 o'clock. Oh, that's great. You owe me a brand new door. I'm sorry, I thought I heard yelling. And so they talked, and right after they get into the psyche of Bruce, and then she shows him an ink blot or Rorschach or whatever it is, and he says, "Is that a bat?" Actually, it's that's whatever you think. If you see, people see what they're doing, but yeah. And then he looks at her and he's like, "I have got to get you out of those clothes." Excuse me, and then she's dressed. Tell me, Doctor, do you like the circus? And then they go to the circus, and obviously we met the Flying Graysons and Dick the youngest, and then Two-Face, basically takes everybody hostage, and then it's just like, if Batman tells me who it is, I will let these people go. You've got 5 minutes before the bomb. You got 10 minutes before the bomb goes off, and then you see him saying, "Harvey, I'm Batman," but nobody listens to him, and so the thing is, the Graysons decided to get the bomb because it's an underground, I don't know how you explain it, but it's like an underground amphitheater. So the Graysons are trying to get rid of this bomb. But the thing is, Two-Face sees them and he's trying to flip his coin. And he's like, yes, grabs a machine gun and shoots up the roof. And so you see Dick's mom and dad and brother fall without a safety net, because earlier Dick had to do this flying thing without a safety net. And so you just see him swinging. He does a little flip in the air. And then his dad catches him. He catches him and he's just like, thanks. And then after that, they escape. And so also he's wearing the prototype Robin suit, the little jumpsuit. That was the prototype Robin suit. And so once Dick's able to get the bomb out of on the roof and wheel it down all the way to the get it out of the building and into the river, which explodes, he comes down and he realizes that his family was murdered by they fell to their deaths thanks to Two-Face while he escaped. And the next he's just crushed. And so Commissioner Gordon has Dick come to Wayne Manor to stay there. He's just like, thanks for taking him in, Bruce. It's all right. How's he doing? He's been up all night, filling out paperwork. He hasn't eaten anything. He hasn't even slept. I'll take him here. Thank you, Commish. Thank you, Bruce. And so obviously he meets Alfred, and at first he's basically like, look, I'm out of here. Look, I appreciate the hospitality, but, I don't need this. I gotta go. And so at first he just says, I'm gonna find Two-Face and I'm gonna kill him. But then he tells them the circus is halfway to Metropolis. I don't care about the circus. And so they talk to him, and he basically just says, nice bike. Yeah, one of the biker boys, Bruce? You're low on gas. I got a gas pump inside the garage. Come on. So then once he sees all of Bruce's motorcycles, that's a Vincent Black Knight. He just says, look, if you, someone's to stay here, Alfred's good, but he's not that good a mechanic. I need somebody who knows what they're doing with these motorcycles. If you were someone was willing to stay on board, I let them live here, fix the bikes for free, and maybe even own a couple of them as payment. And so Alfred brings like a cheeseburger with like all the fixings and everything on top that looks like a bacon Western burger from Carl's Jr. And he's like, "It's the young master not staying. Pity. Maybe the dogs are hungry." And basically, Robin's like, "Hey, wait a minute, Al, hang up." And so Alfred gives him a little bit of advice and tells him, "Hey, that's lovely. So Robin, my dad said I flew in to save him like a robin." And then he says, "Broken rings mend, Master Grayson. One day that robin will fly." Who's that? Oh, hey, how you doing? Sorry. Anyway, so later on in the movie, Bruce is trying to deal with Dr. Chase Meridian, who's basically jonesing for Batman. And then ultimately, when Robin finds out who Bruce really is, and in one scene they have this fight scene where he's like, "Bastard, it's not your fault. If you told to race me with the circus, they'd be alive." Hey, Joaquin, they'd be alive. If Bruce Wayne can give his life for your family, he would do it. So then ultimately Robin just tells him, fighting you, helping the pain away. I need your help. You're going to help me fight Two-Face. And he basically, Batman says, "So you're willing to take a life. If it's Two-Face, okay, let me tell you how life is. You're going to be revenge. You're going to be vengeance, and you're going to be fighting all night long. And when you take a life, and then one life's not good enough, and then you realize all your whole life has become nothing but vengeance. Don't give me that, okay? Your family wasn't killed by a psychopath. Yes, they were." Nice little callback to Joe Chill or Jack Napier. And then Robin's like, "You're going to help me train me, okay? You're part of this whether you like it or not." And so later on, during a botched operation where Two-Face tried to kill Batman, Robin rescues him, and then he gets pissed and basically just says, "What do you think I should be called? Bad Boy, Nightwing? What's a good sidekick name? How about Dick Grayson, college student? Hey, screw you, Bruce. I saved your life, brother. I did it." And so basically, Robin, wants to become, he wants to join, Batman in this crusade, but it's like, "No, I'm not going to let you do this." And then ultimately, basically, while he's injured, he looks at, Alfred. Bruce talks to Alfred about Chase and just says, "She doesn't want me, Alfred. She doesn't want me, Alfred. She wants Batman." "Well, so why don't you let the lady aside?" So then he goes up to her house when she sleeps in the nude. She kisses him and is like, "No, wait. I'm sorry. This is where I so wanted this so bad, but I fell in love with another man. I'm so sorry." "Go to him, Chase. It's all right." He turns around and he smiles like, "Yee! She wants me and not Batman. There used to be a great tower alone." I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then later on, when she gets kidnapped by Riddler and Two-Face, they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And so with the help of Alfred, they solve the crime, they solve all the puzzles, what's another word for mystery? Enigma. Mr. Enigma. Edward Enigma. "Were all the suits destroyed? Only the one with the prototype model certifications, but you haven't tested it tonight." So that's a good night. And also, this is the first Batman movie where Batman wears like a brand new suit to wear towards the end, like a boss suit to wear towards the end, where it didn't have the little bat logo, but the logo was all the way over here. And then of course he's got new toys, and then he's like, "What do you suggest, Alfred? By sea or by air?" So he's got a bat boat and then the bat jet, and then of course you hear a voice, "Why not both?" And it's Robin, finally, it's Robinson. He's like, "Who's your tailor, kid?" "I took the liberty, sir." "Or, what does that stand for?" "Robin. Two-Face and Riddler can make a deadly combination. I figured you can use help. Two is better than one. Look, I can't promise you I won't go after Harvey, but I'll try." Man gives his word is all he's got in this world. I got that. A friend taught me that. Not a friend. A partner. And then, of course, Robin's on the boat, Batman's flying the jet, and then, he gets out, and then, of course, they're both on their way to save Chase. And then ultimately, the thing I hated was that the Batboat got destroyed like it was nothing, and then the Batjet got destroyed like it was nothing, too. I was like, what the fuck, man? But then after that, they get to the island, and there's one funny joke where Robin just hits this hole. There's like they get to there, and he's like kicking something. He's like, "Holy, what's the metal, Batman?" What? The metal. It's got holes and it's rust. Holy. Oh, kind of a joke to the movies. I remember in the theaters when he says, "Holy, what's the metal, Batman?" What? That's a wink. Problem is, the island separates in two. Batman's staying on top, and Robin's on top while Batman's on the bottom. And he tells him to stay there. And so once he goes inside the tunnel, he's gonna try to save him. Meanwhile, Two-Face finds Robin, and then Robin starts to beat the piss out of him. That was my mother, my father, my brother, and this one's for me. And so Two-Face about to fall to his death. Meanwhile, Robin's standing there victorious with the cape, flanning at him. And so he's like, "Justice is done. Let us die. I'll see you in hell, son." Meanwhile, Robin realizing, "No, I can't let you go out like this. I'd rather see you in jail." He helps him. I was like, "Oh, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. The bat has taught thee well." So I was just like, well, he almost had him dead to rights, but then Robin had changed the heart and decided, "I'd rather see you in jail." So it's like, okay, so he basically became he wasn't a monster. But just here telling tales like, "Oh, good boy, good boy, good boy." And then ultimately we have the final showdown between the Riddler, Two-Face, his girls, and then ultimately Batman has to decide who he's going to save. Is he going to save Chase Meridian, or is he going to save Robin? And he's like, "I can't choose them both because I know I'm screwed." And then next thing you know, he does this thing where he's like, "Wait a minute. Edward, I have a riddle for you. What is it?" "I see something else. Light is darkness to me. What am I?" "Why, you're as blind as a bat." Exactly. Then he turns on his sonar contacts and pulls out this big-ass batarang and just chugs it at this thing that's controlling all the mind control, and it warps Edward's head. And, of course, he drops the bomb. He drops his button, which lowers them both into this vat. Bruce jumps. First, he rescues Chase, and then he goes after Robin. And so he's just like, "Thanks." And so after that, the Riddler's taken out. However, Two-Face is still there. He's like, "Hi, no more theatrics, no more curtains, just curtains." "Harvey, wait. Aren't you going to flip for it? Two lines over the same answer?" "Yes, you're right, Bruce. I'm sorry. You've been a good friend." So then he flips his coin, but before he flips his coin, Bruce throws all these coins at him and basically distracting him and making him fall to his death. And so once he lands, Robin gives him that look like, "It's over now." Because he didn't, Harvey's dead, but he didn't have to kill him. Bruce did it for him. And then, of course, you see his hand, and then, of course, his lucky quarter flips, and then he just falls into the ravine. Then, of course, the whole Edward's like, "Why can't I kill you? 20 questions to me, man." Oh, poor Edward. See, it's not because I don't want to be Bruce Wayne or Batman. No, because I choose to be. And then he goes after him, scaring him, and then finally he sends him to Arkham Asylum, and then Chase analyzes him like, "Edward, it's Dr. Chase Meridian. Do you remember me?" "How could I forget?" "Edward, you said you know who Batman is?" "Yes." "Well, who is he?" "Say pretty please." "Pretty please, Edward, who is Batman?" "I'm Batman." And you just see him with like these weird flaps, and he's got his head bandaged. I don't know if he's because he's scarred or because they lobotomized him, but he's just, out of his mind. So now he's going to be hanging out at the old funny farm, aka Arkham. And Two-Face is dead, but I'm not going to lie. If he was at Arkham, it would have been cool if they had the Joker, if he was still alive, and Harley Quinn. But again, that's not in this movie. There was no DCU back then. Anyways, so then after that, he leaves, and that's it. And I just remember this is like one of the coolest. Like, I loved this movie as a kid, and even though the U2 song "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me" was supposed to be the main theme song, a certain other song that came out, and it wasn't even supposed to be meant for this movie, But Joel Schumacher loved it so much, he basically asked Seal, "Hey Seal, listen, I love this song you did called Kiss Me Rose, and I think it would go great for our movie. Would you be willing to do it?" And at first Seal was like, "Nah, I don't know." But Seal wasn't that big of, wasn't that, he already did a video for it involving him and his models. So Joel Schumacher was like, "Look, I'll direct the music video for you. I just need you to sing this song while we show clips of the movie and the bat signal. Can you do that?" And he's like, "Okay, I can do that." And so, even though the song appears like in the last 2 minutes of the movie, the end credits, which I'm like, damn it, they should have put that song in there. But I guess YouTube is like, no, we went dibs. We went our song to put the end credits. I'm like, whatever. I usually just fast forward that shit so I can get who's on. Hey Jamal, I just fast forward that shit so I can get to the the actual song and the chorus. I just remember when they showed the music video on MTV back in '95, they were showing it all the time. And back then, this is when MTV was at its friggin' prime. You just saw the Batmobile driving. There used to be a grand tower alone on the bay. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remained a drum, not the high, not the fear. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen? Baby, if I compare you to a kiss from the rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, stranger it seems, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, I lie it's the moon on the grave. Fa-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's so much a man can tell you, so much he can say. You became my power, my pleasure, my pain. Baby, to me you're like a growing addiction that I can't deny. Won't you tell me is it healthy, baby? But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen? G-G-G-G. Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, stranger it seems, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, I like it's the root on the grave. Then there's Michelin Luke. Dee-dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. And if I should fall, it's by a rose on the grave. I've been kissed by a rose on the grave. There is so much I could tell you, so much you could say. You became my power, my pleasure, my pain. You tell me you're like a growing addiction that I can't deny, yeah. Won't you tell me is it healthy, baby? But did you know that when it snows, my heart becomes large and the light that you shine can be seen? Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, I like it to move on the grave. That song got Seal a Best Male Artist, Best Male Performance, and Record of the Year. And I think he was originally like, I don't know if I want to have a song on a Batman movie. That song probably bought you a friggin' mansion and probably bought you a mansion anywhere you went, dude. Hell, that song alone probably paid for your, royalties, probably paid for your kids' college tuition. But, yeah, that was, like I said, that was like Batman Returns didn't know that great. Batman Forever became 1995's biggest movie of the year. And then he would follow that up with a very classic, underrated, I don't say underrated, everybody knows about it. It's a classic LA noir movie called Heat. And in this movie, originally Warner Brothers didn't want him to do it, but he's like, screw you, I want to work with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Michael Mann. And not only did he do it, he also told Michael Mann, I'll do your movie, but you don't have to, I'll take a pay cut, but can you do me a favor? Can my name be thrown on the poster? That's going to help me, And so basically Michael Mann's like, yeah, sure. So every time there was a preview, there was always like, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, Heat. So, and then him being third on the poster, it doesn't matter if it's like DVDs or whatever, he's always third bill. So that helped his career, so. And he took a huge pay cut. And I remember there's like this little funny story involving him and Danny Trejo on the set. He was sitting there, got ready to film the opening heist scene, and he just says, dude, Warner Brothers wants to pay me $40 million to do Batman Part 4, but there's no way in hell I'm putting on that stupid mask and cowl. And as he puts on a hockey mask, and he grabs a machine gun, about ready to film his scenes. So yeah, the thing is, because he did Heat, a lot of the Warner Brothers executives were mad because they really wanted him to do a sequel to Batman Forever. And the thing is, he didn't want to do it because he just felt like, the script he had read, he just did not like it because he felt like the villains were getting more press time than Batman. Batman's basically is being shoehorned in with all these different villains, and it's supposed to be a Batman movie, but everybody cares more about like the Riddler or Two-Face, or in this case, it would have been Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. And he's like, nah, dude, it should be about me. I'm fucking Batman. Why are these guys, getting all the limelight? And originally, it would have been Julia Roberts has Poison Ivy and Patrick Stewart as Mr. Freeze, but when he dropped out, they were like, okay, now what are we going to do? So then it became George Clooney, and then after that, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman took over. And let's not talk about that movie. But in Heat, his character was the only character to survive. All of Neil's crew members were killed except for him. He's the one who escaped. What I said earlier. So if they ever do a sequel, he's too old to play. Well, he passed on, so he can't play Chris Sherrill. So now Austin Butler is going to play the younger him. And also, he in 1996 he would do two movies. One was a cult classic, and the other one was a disaster. And that's when a lot of people thought he was kind of a dick because he went off to film The Island of Dr. Moreau. And he wanted to work with Marlon Brando, but him and the original director didn't get along. He was drinking a lot. His divorce was ending. I mean, his marriage was ending, and he was getting a divorce. And he wanted to leave Australia to go home, but New Line's like, nah, dude, you're not leaving. We need to film this movie. And then Marlon Brando lost his daughter, so it was basically just like a shit show. Fairuza Balk, who actually was at Sinister CreatureCon last year, basically said, I drove 1,000 miles to go to like Sydney or Queensland to get on the nearest international flight back to LA, and I didn't want to do this shit. And my agent said, honey, if you leave right now, you will not get work in this town. New Line will do everything in their power to screw you over. So she had a grin and bear it along with all the other actors. And then once Richard Stanley was fired and John Frankenheimer took over, he basically said, I ain't got time for Val Kilmer's bullshit. Once Val Kilmer was done filming his scenes, he basically said, get him the hell off the set right now. I don't ever want to see that guy ever again. And so that movie bombed, and Val Kilmer later in an interview said, it was my fault, the movie should have been better, and I apologize for my actions, and I was just really going through a shitty time in my life, So yeah, after that he decided, after that he went on to do The Ghost in the Darkness, he went on to do The Ghost in the Darkness, and with Michael Douglas, and it was about him playing a British officer going to Africa to build a railroad through, but the two lions were murdering all the natives and the railroad workers, so with the help of a hunter named Remington, Michael Douglas, they were going to go and kill these lions. And lo and behold, they actually do kill the lions. Remington didn't make it, but Patterson, Val's character, ends up surviving, even though he's the main character. But Michael Douglas is producing it, so he's got to get his name first. But that was a pretty cool movie. And then earlier tonight, I was watching a movie he did in '97, the movie that he decided to do instead of Batman and Robin, which is The Saint. And that was very underrated. He played different characters, he had different accents. I gotta wrap this up, so I'm just gonna fast forward through all of them. I liked the Thomas More character because it was kind of like a blonde, South African version of Jim Morrison with leather pants. I want to take you to my home in Africa, do this and that. And then he also played a German character named, my name is Bruno Holtenfalsten. I was named after a saint who did this and that. youth, just that, and just that he had curly hair, and just playing all these, again, just having fun with the accent. And then, of course, when he's at the very end, one of his last characters, he's like, "My name is August Christopher," and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, that's Doc Holliday. I'm like, Doc, it's you again. Oh no, sir, my name is August Christopher. I don't know anything about this Doc Holliday. Come, let's get you a cup of coffee. All right, may I buy you a cup of coffee? Thank you. Would you like sugar? I'm your Huckleberry. What? Huh? Nothing. But he did that. And then in 1998, he did the voice of Moses for the movie The Prince of Egypt. And this isn't a very underrated movie. Ironically enough, him and Michelle Pfeiffer would do the movie along with Sandra Bullock and Jeff Goldblum. Ray Fiennes was Pharaoh. Patrick Stewart and Helen Mirren was like the parents. The one thing that kind of took me out of it was Steve Martin and Martin Short playing these two jokers named Hoyt and Hum. I don't know why, they kind of took me out of me, but because I felt like the movie's supposed to be serious, and these guys are like trying to make it come out like ha ha ha. And I remember the first time I was watching this movie with my brother, I was like, "Where are those two guys? Devon and Bubba Ray, Hoyt and Hum." Never mind. And I just remember the Hans Zimmer's beautiful music. The animation was great. And then towards the end of the movie with the staff, he's like, "With this staff, you will have my power." And then the Red Sea. And it was cool because I remember Danny Glover played a character named Jericho. I know, break the walls down. But it was just kind of cool because I remember Danny Glover did this movie and he did Ants, but in Ants, his Barbados didn't survive and was killed off briefly, but in this one, he survived. So oh, cool. So, all right, Danny Glover's alive. This is kind of weird that Danny Glover's daughter is Michelle Pfeiffer, but again, it's an animated movie, so, they don't have to worry about race and all that, but still, it was a very underrated movie. Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey did this movie's theme song, and I remember Mad TV spoofed it by doing the artist one known as the Prince of Egypt, like what happened if Prince played Moses, and it was one of the funniest skits ever. Just the women were screaming, it was just hilarious. And then he did a movie called At First Sight, where he plays a blind man who gets like this, he gets like eye surgery, which is very, they say like, I can't remember the name of it. It's not prototype. It's like the first of its kind, and he does it. But the thing is, though, even after he does it and he gets his eyesight back, towards the end of the movie, he starts to lose it again, and he realizes he's going to have to, go back to being in the darkness. But he does a great job playing that. And it's him as Mira Sorvino. Nathan Lane plays his eye specialist to help him see, his sight specialist. So he's just basically like, "Come with me, I'll take you somewhere to get your eye, you can relax your eyes." He takes him to a strip club where they're drinking beer, just talking, which I always thought was hilarious. So it's like, yeah, don't focus on like the city or the landscape. Let's just look at titties, you'll be fine. And it's not every day you can be in a titty bar with Nathan Lane having a beer. So I just thought that was pretty funny. But he was great in that movie. And then in the 2000s, he did Red Planet, which had this really badass Peter Gabriel song. And it was a Mars movie. It was kind of weird. He played this bastard of a father in the movie Joe the King in the 2000s too. But then in 2002, he did this movie called The Salton Sea, which is very underrated, about a saxophonist who becomes a heroin addict and basically is a snitch for these two corrupt cops. But at the same time, he's also asked by the FBI to be an informant for them. And so, because he's also, he's snitching on former, like, these guys are drug dealers, gun runners, whatever. At the same time, he's also trying to make a deal with this renowned drug dealer known as Pooh Bear, who doesn't have a nose. And the cool thing, and there's a big twist in the movie, but I don't want to give it away, but still, it's very underrated, and if you can find it, do it. And I just remember at the end of the movie, they play, oh God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a song by the band Tantric, and it was actually a pretty good song. But it was a good movie. But the thing is, living in Indiana, that was one of those art house movies where it's kind of hard to find a screen that would show you close to home. But once Blockbuster got it, I grabbed it on DVD and went home and watched it. And I thought it was a fantastic movie. What was I going to say? The poster is just kind of badass. Just Val Kilmer's back. And then it shows like this tattoo of the Salton Sea. And then you see like the image. And it's like, and it just shows you the names like Val Kilmer, Vincent D'Onofrio, Peter Skarsgård, Doug Hutchinson, Deborah Carr Unger, the Salt and Sea. He did that, and then he did a couple like indie movies in the 2000s. He did a movie in 2005 that got him a lot of acclaim with Robert Downey Jr. called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, about a murder. He plays a character named Gay Perry, who's supposed to be a technical advisor for a former thief turned actor, Harry Lockhart, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, and both of them have to team up to try to solve this mystery of like somebody who's missing. At the same time, somebody from Robert Downey Jr.'s Harry's past, Michelle Monaghan, is in LA as a struggling actress, and all three of them team up to try to solve this crime. And it's just sort of funny because Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was directed by Shane Black, who went on to direct The Nice Guys and Iron Man 3. And in Iron Man 3, there is kind of like a little bit of a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang reference where you see Tony and Rhodey, like, with their guns pointed out. Tony has his handgun, like, one-handed like this, while Rhodey has a Beretta, and he's pointing it with both hands, up and down. And so Harry's more relaxed, and Rhodey's more handgun. And then in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, since Harry loses a finger, you just see Harry with one hand gun like this, while Gay Perry has his handgun like this. And it's funny because in one scene, basically, Perry roasts Harry. He's just like, you're a fucking idiot, okay? You ever look up the word idiot in the dictionary? Let me guess. It's a photo of me. No. It means the word, no. It means the raw meaning of it has the meaning of the word, oh God, I can't remember what it was, but it's like one of the best disses I ever heard in movies. It's like, there's a photo of that, you fucking idiot. It's just classic. It's basically, it's like, again, these two 80s guys, it's like these two old 80s actors and a movie in the 2000 era. But, again, it's a cult movie, and a lot of people credit it as Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback. I'm like, nah, dude. His comeback was dee 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 and Tropic Thunder. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was just a movie that just pushed him in the right direction. So while RDJ became a Marvel guy, Val Kilmer ended up just doing more he would do guest stars on TV shows, such as Numbers, which is directed by Tony Scott. He also he had a small part in the movie Deja Vu with Denzel Washington and Adam Goldberg, and Jim Caviezel. He was the one who was part of that Black Ops unit where they can travel back in time. So I thought he did a great job. At the same time, Bowling for Soup did a song for him called Val Kilmer, which I thought was a funny little tribute. And then in 2008, when they decided to bring back Knight Rider as a TV movie and then later on as a TV show, Val Kilmer, originally Will Arnett was supposed to play the role of Kit, but then since Will Arnett had to deal with General Motors and he couldn't do the show because the car in Knight Rider wasn't a Pontiac, it was a Ford Mustang. Val Kilmer played the new version of Kit, but he, just like William Daniels, he was like, they're like, no, don't credit me. Don't say, and Val Kilmer is the voice of Kit, just, keep it anonymous. So every time you see an episode, it's just like, Kit, can you help me get a relay on Kit, can you give me the ID on that car? Certainly, Michael. License plate number 527. And every time I think of Knight Rider, I just think of that stupid Chappelle Show joke. Puerto Ricans are lazy, Michael. Well, he didn't say that, but it was just the funniest thing. Just hearing Val Kilmer's voice, like, Kid, do you know how far they were going? They were going 110 miles, Michael. Just that whole smooth voice. And then later on, he did a movie called Bad Lieutenant, Port of New Orleans with Nicolas Cage. And then he started doing a lot of straight to DVD movies because his career was on a down slope. He did a movie with Christian Slater and LL Cool J called Mindhunters that they finished filming in 2003 but didn't come out until 2005. So his career was kind of going down to that DTV. He was doing like a lot of these like filmed in Russian movies, like movies with him and Cuba Gooding Jr. or him with 50 Cent or him with some other guy. And around the same time, he was starting to get throat cancer. And his voice was leaving. He was talking about I can't talk anymore. It's like it's like that. When he got a role in the movie The Snowman, his voice was dubbed over, and everybody's like, "Look, man." A guy I watched named Cinema Excrement, when they did a review on the movie, he said, "Look, I know it's easy to bash on this movie and bash on Val Kilmer, and considering the fact that man battled throat cancer, I'm not going to bash him. But why couldn't you find a guy with a better voice? That's all I got to say. I mean, I know Val couldn't talk, and he shouldn't, but still, at least find him somebody who can, speak like him, because this guy's voice is just crazy. And I know Val did it for the money. I don't blame him. Get paid, baby. But still. And so there was a documentary called Val that his son, Jack, helped produce. And there's like past footage, and then Jack would narrate as Val's voice. And it was a very touching, documentary, just seeing this young man, this young man and an older man. And then, he could sing, he could talk, he played Mark Twain on Broadway. And he was also, hang on, I gotta stand up. He was on Broadway. He was a very great ambassador. I think he tried to run for political office in New Mexico because he has a ranch out there. He was just all these different things about him. And, now that his voice is gone, what else is he going to do? So he was about to retire from acting, but one of the last few things he did was a movie with his daughter, Mercedes Kilmer, a little indie film. And then finally, his last performance was in Top Gun Maverick, where he came back as Admiral Tom Kazansky. And everybody's thinking, is he going to come back? And, can he talk? And, I mean, yeah. And so what they did was they would have him text his text Maverick, like, that could have went better. How are you doing? How's the kid? And then ultimately, it's revealed that they kind of wrote in his throat cancer as in the movie, for Iceman. And so had it not been for Iceman basically saying Maverick needs to train these new kids, Maverick wouldn't be going back to Top Gun. And the best scene in the whole movie is this touching scene where Ice and Maverick have a conversation, and he just texts, he just types some words like, how's things going? How's everything? Let's not talk about work. And so you just see, Ice with glasses, with the scarf around his neck, and they're just talking. And then ultimately, Iceman gets up and just basically says, the Navy needs you. The kid needs you. You're exactly where you need to be. I wouldn't have chosen you to do this mission if you couldn't do it yourself. That's where you're at, Maverick. And then basically, he just thanks him like, thank you, Ice. One last thing. Who is the best pilot? You or me? This is a lovely moment. Let's not vote it. I just love that scene because everybody's like, Ice is talking, he's just happy, and then later on we lose Iceman and Maverick gives up his wings and slams it on the coffin. And so, even though he no longer has Iceman to help him, Maverick's still proving to, the Admiral, played by John Hamm, let me lead these kids into the mission. And then finally he's like, okay, all right, Maverick. And then ultimately they're able to pull off the mission. So, if they do a Top Gun 3, it's going to be kind of weird, like, now that, he no longer has Iceman, what's Maverick going to do? But, yeah, that was his last film role, because after that, like, nah, I'm done. I don't want to do any more movies. I'm just going to retire. And so when he passed this last week, and they went to CinemaCon, Tom Cruise is in Vegas to promote Mission Impossible. He basically said, he basically gave praise to Val Kilmer and just said, I want to thank him for everything. He's a great actor and a great friend, and I wish you the best on your next journey into life, my friend. Thank you. And that was it. So it was a moment of silence for him. And so, yeah, everybody's been pouring out, cheering, and doing their best to say that. And I would have done this a lot sooner, but I had family over this weekend, and now that it's practically damn near 1:30 in the morning, 1:20 in the morning, I had a lot to cover. So, yeah, like I said, Gene Hackman and, Michelle Trachtenberg were one thing, but Val Kilmer was my childhood, man, so I had to do this. So, anyways, you guys have a good night, and thank you. Bye.